Hi everyone, I'm Jordan from Notikins and the iBeacon Trends blog, and I'm excited to talk to you all today about beacons and transportation services. Hopefully you're all hearing me okay here. If not, you can send me a message via chat or just shoot me a message on Twitter too. I'll be checking that as well, at Jordan Josh Frank. Okay, so before I dive into beacons for transportation, just to give a brief intro to us, we have an SDK, Notikins, as well as a blog, iBeacon Trends, about iBeacons. And the SDK, Notikins, lets apps work with beacons, and our goal is to make working with proximity technology as easy and as creative as possible. So we offer these webinars to give case studies and ideas to help you think through proximity projects in different sectors. Switch the slide here. And there's a lot of sectors using beacons. Sorry, it might be a little bit of an echo at the moment. But yeah, there's a lot of different sectors using beacons, and transportation services, from what we've seen, is one of the biggest. They're in buses, trains, parking lots, bikes, and even shared taxis. So today I wanted to give you all a number of case studies in each area and ideas to help you think about how you can use them for transportation services. And even if you don't work for a bus company or an airport or whatever, we hope you can still use some of these ideas for your proximity projects. And before I get into the case studies, I also wanted to note that transportation services, to me at least, is an interesting sector for beacons, because unlike geofencing, when you set up a predefined zone on a map and message people or interact with people based on their GPS location, beacons can be mobile. So you can put beacons on a taxi or a train and it will move, so the location that you're targeting with interactions will move too. Something we can look closer at with some of our case studies. And now I just wanted to, some of you, many of you probably already know a good deal about beacons, but for those of you who don't, I did want to give just a minute overview here, just so that we're on the same page. Basically, they're small physical devices. You can see one here. This one's from Estimote. There's a number of manufacturers out there. But yeah, they're small devices that basically act as an indoor positioning system, or they can be used for outdoors too. But they enable a smartphone to perform actions when in proximity to this beacon device that emits an identifier, a Bluetooth identifier. And typically, there's a mobile app that enables the technology. Also, depending on your goal and the hardware you use, prices range from $5 to over $100. I've seen even $250. But they can send signals, 50 or so meters away and have batteries that last a couple years. So, for example, they can trigger marketing messages when someone is nearby your shop, pull up a flashlight app at a concert when a song plays, be used for indoor navigation, help you see your visitor flow. There's a lot of ways. They're so flexible that I almost think of them as a platform that you build off of rather than simply a hardware product. But all that said, they're exciting. There's a lot of different ways you can use them. You do need to be careful, choose the right beacon, set up the analytics properly, place them in the right locations, etc. And actually, in 2 weeks, we'll offer a webinar going more in depth into iBeacons and geofencing. So if you want to learn more, join us on that. You can ask me for a link, and I'll set you up. But hopefully, with this, everyone has an idea of what they are and generally what they can do. So on to beacons and transportation, why we're all here. So like I said, I just wanted to go through a number of different case studies, starting with parking lot case studies. And I wanted to start with parking lot case studies because even if you don't work for a train station or what have you, if you work for a mall or represent retailers or work for a museum, you're going to have a parking lot. So this is a good area to begin with. And there's a couple interesting projects. I wanted to focus on two of them. One of them from Hotspot in Canada. They built and implemented a really easy to use mobile parking application. So for people that are downtown, they really just wanted to offer a really seamless experience, easy way to pay, easy way to find a space. So with their app, you can find a spot, you can pay, plus local businesses can send messages via beacons, offering them deals in their store, in their restaurant, and even offering them free parking if they come in and take them up on one of their offers. So it's a cool project, pretty successful. And Access Mobility 24, to me, it looks like a bigger project. They had a really successful pilot in Chicago and then expanded to 4,000 beacons across the US, basically for sending proximity messages, letting shops and restaurants reach people parking nearby them. So maybe beacons aren't for everyone. Maybe you don't want to put them in your parking lot, but they seem to have had some good success, these two companies, and it's worth thinking about whether or not your parking lot is a good place to reach your target audience with a deal, with added information, or allowing them to pay. A lot of things you can do in the parking lot, and you can get them off on the right foot, so to speak, once they're nearby your museum, your train station, your airport, or what have you. Okay, so that's parking lots. Next up, taxi case studies. So yeah, taxis are a great place to put beacons too. This particular project in London, yeah, the average taxi ride in London is over 20 minutes. So it's a really great place to message someone that have the free time, to check the message. They're probably bored, not really too much to do. So yeah, it's a solid place to reach people in cabs. And yeah, you can just place one there and you cover the whole cab. You don't have to worry about beacon placement at all too. So this is a pretty big project, pretty cool project. Basically sending out contextually relevant messages as people travel. Yeah. And then I will also mention that there's taxi buses. So this kind of segues into our next category here of buses. But there's taxi buses in, I think, yeah, in China, to different locations in China. There's a taxi bus company that decided that they wanted to put beacons and are sending marketing messages, getting a little bit of added revenue, a little bit of extra advertising space. And I think this is cool because it's the taxi buses themselves that wanted this. They offer rides to particular areas within the city. And then also, in addition to having printed media on the bus, they kind of have a digital offering too to people that want to message the people there. So that's a cool project too. And then another project in London by the same company, Proxima, had installed 500, had set up 500 buses with beacons. So this is another great project, pretty big one too, compared to other beacon projects, especially considering that there are over 2 billion trips per year on buses in London. So yeah, that's a lot of people that are going to be have been getting proximity messages. They had been using an app, but have moved to Google's Eddystone beacon format, which makes the project interesting in that sense too. Eddystone is a little bit more recent, and you don't need an app to interact with Eddystone beacons. You just need to have the Chrome browser. So if your audience is more likely to be on Android, it can be a good format for you to use. And they've been sending out marketing messages. I think a recent one is from Glacial, the water. They're sending out recommendations from locals in whatever areas the buses go to, and promoting their smart water, making smart decisions. Pretty cool. They're also used by a couple of bus companies, one in Romania that I know of, and in northern Italy. They're helping the visually impaired navigate the bus system, get on and off the buses, and find the right stops to be at. That's pretty cool. And the project in Northern Italy, pretty big project too, I think 160 buses. They are also allowing marketing messages too. So they're helpful for the visually impaired, but also using the beacons for other reasons too, because beacons are flexible and can be used for multiple purposes. So that's buses. Next up, we've got trains. A couple of cool projects with train stations. Again, yeah, they're pretty solid places for beacons. Large area that can be really confusing, especially if you're new to the city, if you're a tourist. So helping people get around or letting people know what stores or what shops are there can be really helpful. This particular project in Dusseldorf, Germany, sent about 250,000, mainly marketing messages, some information too, from nearby vendors. Seemed to be pretty successful. There's a couple other projects too with train stations at Chiltern in the UK. They're actually going to be using beacons for payments. So when a passenger boards a train and exits a station, automatic payments are made thanks to the beacons interacting with smartphones. Pretty cool. Definitely worth thinking about if you want to be innovative and make the payment process really easy. Beacons can be a great way to do that. And lastly, I wanted to mention a project that's in the works at the moment, but pretty cool. From UC Santa Cruz, they got a grant for $1 million from the National Science Foundation to design a project for helping passengers with special needs make better use of public transport. So this is similar to what the buses are doing in Romania and Northern Italy. So the goal is to help people find out which bus or train platform to get on. So not just buses, but or not just trains, but buses too. Where to get off, how to do a transfer. So yeah, it's pretty all-encompassing. And they also have a way that people can track, so authorized people can track, if the person made it okay. They're working with IBM Research and the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority. So they've got some big local players involved, as well as IBM, and $1 million. So it's a pretty solid, pretty big project, and looking forward to seeing the result of it. And yeah, support for individuals with special needs is quickly becoming one of the main use cases for beacons, and should definitely be considered for all transportation services. So we're about at the end of our case studies here. I'll conclude with a couple best practices, but before that, airports. Airports are one of the biggest sectors in transportation and beyond for beacons. They're just massive places, and are like train stations, are very difficult to navigate, and a lot of stress trying to find the right gates. So yeah, they're contained indoor spaces. So beacons are really an effective way to do indoor mapping there. And beyond indoor mapping, a lot of airports are using them for collecting data, like on the traveler's experience, as well as using them for sending out marketing messages too. Actually, CETA, one of the big players in airport technology, has a beacon system set up. I talked to the director of it a few months back. It's a great project that I'd love to see other transportation services try to develop something similar. But basically what it does is it helps airports set up beacons in the right places, helps them categorize them, helps them list all of them so others can see which beacons are available in the airport and what they're doing. Yeah, it's a great project. If you can, just look it up. Just look up CETA beacons, and you should be able to find it. But yeah, it's a great way. I'd love to see even cities use something similar. But they've got, I think, about 30 to 40 airports now using beacons in some capacity. So yeah, huge sector for beacons. And CETA is pushing transportation services with the way that they're organizing the beacons at the airports. So I'd love to see other sectors within transportation do something similar to what Seed is doing. So that's all the case studies I have for you guys before opening it up for questions. Just wanted to draw a couple, 5 actually best practices. Yeah, so hopefully all these different case studies offer some good examples, some creative examples of different ways to use beacons, whether using them for payments, using them for helping the visually impaired, indoor navigation, sending marketing messages. There's a ton of ways you can use them, and you should be keeping these things in mind when you're thinking creatively about how you will engage your users with beacons. First, try to engage people at the right time. Obviously, you don't want to put beacons near a security check at the airport, or maybe you don't want to set up an entrance campaign when someone is rushing to get on train. You really should be thinking about what your audience is likely to be doing at the time of your message, or yeah, think about the time of your message, and think about the right place too. So really keep your audience in mind. Do interactions that are audience focused if you're sending out marketing messages, especially thinking about how you could utilize sending messages that move. You know, when someone gets off your bus, maybe you could recommend a restaurant to them. Or when someone's getting onto your train, maybe you can suggest free Wi-Fi, or give them an offer for Wi-Fi if they buy a drink on the train or something like that. But think about the time and the place that your messages will be received by your users, and have the audience, you know, not as your number one priority when you're setting up any type of marketing message or information. And always offer value in your messages too. I think Glacio, the Smart Water project in London, it's a great example of offering a lot of value. So just to give a little bit more context, Smart Water sent out messages to people when they were getting on and getting off buses, and talked to local experts about that particular neighborhood, and those experts would give them recommendations of cool parks to see or cool restaurants or what have you. So they weren't advertising discounts on water. They were instead offering really valuable information to people at the right place in the right time, hoping that with that valuable content, they would think better of Smart Water. So yeah, always offer value in messages, and it doesn't have to be discounts. You don't always have to offer a direct marketing message, but you can use them to offer interesting information that makes people think better of your brand or of your bus company or of your train station. Another thing to keep in mind is again that beacons are flexible. The same beacon can help you see where people are going in your airport, see the customer flow at a store, send out a notification, be used for indoor mapping, be used for payment, and even help the visually impaired navigate around your store, your train station, or get on buses. So yeah, you can think through a lot of different ways beacons can be used, and keep in mind you don't have to limit the one beacon to one particular use case. And lastly, know what data you'll collect and how you use it. Beyond just improving ad copies or the information you sent out, you can use the location data. Obviously, make sure you know what you're collecting, and you inform the people that are using your app what you're collecting. But you can use anonymous data to see where people are at your train station, where maybe it's good to put a kiosk, or see how many people are using particular offers. Maybe you want to change the offers there. Maybe you want to change the setup of your airport. And so maybe you kind of see how travelers are moving through it. And then based on that data, you can say, hey, maybe we should put a sign up here, or maybe we should put a door here, or what have you. But you can see where people are moving and how long they're staying there in general, and use that information to better not only your beacon campaigns, but your setup. So definitely put together an analytics strategy, defining how you collect it, how you'll let your users know what you're collecting, and then how you use that data to improve your campaigns, or can improve your setup, or can improve what have you. So that's all I have. I really do think beacons are an exciting new enabling technology that can be used effectively in a number of different ways for transportation services. So definitely keep a close eye on the space and on the technology. And I wanted to give a few minutes here for questions. So if you have any, I'll be available and stay online for a couple minutes. But I also wanted to mention that the best way to understand what this technology can do is to experience it. So if you have an immediate project, we can set you up with a free one-on-one demo, or if you have you're kind of more in the idea phase, maybe it's better if we set you up with a consulting session so we can help you think through your project and what tools are best for you. So just go to teekins.com and you can see the free demo page as well as a free consultation page. And we'd love to get in a call with you and set you up with a free trial if you're interested. We also have offices in different parts of Spain and in Paris. So if you want to come meet with us, we're here. Okay, so that's all. Again, I'll stay in the line for questions. You can use this YouTube link whenever you want to come back and see everything, and I'll also send you an email with the slide share too. All right, well, I'm gonna turn off the mic now, but again, I'll be around, so if you do have any questions, I'll be available, typing away, and would love to get a one-on-one talk going too, talk through your proximity projects. That's all. Hasta luego.